Hi, Nassib.
Hi, Naila.
How are you?
Good morning. Good.
Thank you for being here. And those who wonder.
Pleasure.
Thank you for صبحية القهوة الحلوة. We're going to talk about it in a bit. So I want to know what you do today, and I want you to introduce yourself because I have a lot of things to say about you. Maybe they're not going to be great, but I'm joking. So please go ahead. What do you do?
Sure. I'm Nassib. I'm the co-founder and general manager at Koonoo F&B. Mm-hmm. We started the company around 5 years ago, and we released the first product, which is especially drip bags. And we've developed several products after that, which were beans and capsules, and we are yet to develop much more. So there's a lot going on in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was in supply chain in the oil and gas industry for 8 years, and before that, I was also in advertising. So I kind of jumped from one industry to another. And people ask me, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, you just need to adapt and learn quick. So, going back to the coffee, we focus on specialty coffee. That's the level of quality of coffee that we work mm-hmm. with. We introduced the drip bags in. We had the official launch January 21, and we've been focused mostly on e-commerce sales and slowly getting into retail, HoReCa, eventually expanding geography-wise within the GCC and hopefully internationally.
Lovely. Okay, so before we start the whole conversation, so that people understand what is a drip bag? Okay. I would love for you to show, we've prepped a little bit of things. Like I have this coffee that's already ready. It's my favorite, cardamom. But I wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of how this works.
Sure.
And we'll talk about this eventually.
So what we have in front of us here is the variety pack, which holds one of our 3 of our blends, which is bold, dark roast, smooth, medium roast, and cardamom. Is the medium to dark roast with freshly ground cardamom inside. So the concept is that you have a sachet that includes a filter that you can hang on the cup, as you see over here, with 12 grams of specialty coffee. So the advantage here is that you don't need any machinery other than a kettle or a source of hot water like we have over here. If you want me to show you,
let's do it.
Do this. Okay, so basically you just hang it on the cup. It fits. We've tested this, maybe 90% of the cups that you would use on every day in your household. And all you want to do is just pour. All right. So we recommend we recommend 4 pours because we work on a ratio of 1 to 16. So every gram of coffee you need 16 grams of water. So you will get around 180 to 200 milliliters of coffee once you're done. Now, if you want it stronger, you just reduce the amount of pours. And if you want it lighter, of course, to taste, you can increase it as you go. We recommend that ratio because we think with our blends, this would be a perfect ratio for the coffee blends that we have going on over here. So just one last more pour, just for the sake of time. We're just going to...
I think what works with this, and we'll talk about it eventually. Like a lot of the campers nowadays are taking their coffee with them.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the reasons why we started this is I'll talk to you more about the thinking behind it. Is that you travel, your hotel doesn't usually have the best coffee for free. You go to the office, not all offices give you the best coffee. You go camping, like you said, you don't want to get too much equipment. I mean, all you need is, you have your reusable mug and you have your sachets and you're going to boil water anyway. So that's one of the reasons why we came up with this concept. It's versatile. You can put it in your laptop bag, camping bag, suitcase, whatever it is, and just and take it as you go. And it's versatile from the point is it's actually very accessible. This is one of the reasons why we got into the business. We wanted to make specialty coffee accessible for everyone. So this retails for $39, so you approximately $4.5 to $5 per sachet, which is nice, a very well priced
specialty
coffee that you can take with you everywhere. So once we're done here, just gonna
I'll help you.
All right. So we're just gonna have to stay next to the mic. And that's it, you're done. So basically what you have here is just, you have your coffee where you can actually just take it with you everywhere. And once we started, we launched the Bold, Smooth, and Cardamom. And what we did is, because it's a new brand, it's a new product, what we wanted to do is actually launch the variety pack, giving you the choice of these 3 blends. So the way we realized how it works is, like, for example, Naila would come in with say, I've never tried Koonoo Coffee, but I don't want to buy every single blend to try. So we've tried it. We've launched the variety pack. And what we've seen is that, for example, Naila purchased the variety pack once, and then she goes for the cardamom. So this is one of the most successful products that we have, because it's an opening to all our blends.
Yeah.
So we've seen that habit with all consumers or customers, and some people like either 2 or 3 or even all the blends, and they just buy multiple variety packs because they enjoy them at different times of day. For example, the Bold in the morning, it's a nice strong coffee. Smooth in the afternoon, and the Cardamom sometimes they would think is like a treat, once in a while. So
it brings back memories as well.
It does,
right?
and we've developed this blend to kind of we are proudly made in the UAE. So we wanted to give back to the culture and the heritage of the UAE and the surrounding countries with the cardamom, and this is. We use
my favorite. I love it.
Yeah, we use natural. We grind them, and it's not like we source them ground. We do them everything from scratch.
Amazing. Okay, I'll go back a little bit to the world of no Koonoo first. So, you were in a corporate. You were working like everyone else. Is this something that you've always wanted to do? So, have you been planning to leave this lifestyle and do something else for yourself, or did it just kind of happen? Did you leave and then create something? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So look, my last corporate job, I spent 8 years there in supply chain, and I would say like the first 4 years were interesting. Yeah. Really nice, and then the top brass changed, and it shows you how when the top management changes, how it affects the whole. The whole company, and trickling down to the management and all. And then I realized that the culture changed. The work became repetitive, no growth from a personal growth and career growth. I wasn't in my best space, to be honest. I wasn't, as you say, the happiest person. For me, it was just paycheck to paycheck, which I personally didn't want. So I took, I had met my current wife in the last maybe 6 to 9 months, and I was telling her, like, look, it's miserable. I mean, imagine going to work, hating it, coming back, and just thinking about work and how much you hate it. So I handed over my last project over there in December 2019. I quit. Okay. I'm like, my mental health is more important than any paycheck, anything else. And she told me, she's like, since when I met you when you were working in that company, and after that you became 2 different people. Really? Super positive, super laid back, less anxiety, more focused, more vision. It's like, like a lot of weight off your shoulder. So we actually went to Colombia for a friend's wedding and got engaged over there. And we didn't know that COVID was going to hit in a couple of months. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go spend some time with my parents back home. She stayed here. COVID hit. She got stuck here. I got stuck there. And honestly, I wouldn't say, this came up and it was like, I woke up one morning and I wrote this down. This is exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah. I had reconnected with my cousin Joe because we were both stuck in the country. So, we haven't talked to each other in a while as much as we do nowadays. And we kind of like started going for long walks together because there was nothing else to do. Yeah. We just started walking up in the forest and stuff like that. So we started bouncing, ideas like, I've traveled here, I've traveled there. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I was in consulting for so long after 15 years and I left. I'm doing my freelancing now. And he's like, I really want to do my own thing. I'm like, me too. But, what? So one of the conversations was, I told him about my trip to Vietnam, and I was visiting a very good friend of mine over there, and I realized what the coffee culture there is just amazing. Every corner, you would go to have a coffee on a vendor sitting on a small plastic stool, and my goodness, the coffee was so good. Coffee, yeah. I'm like, why does that cost me 20 cents, but it's so good? And why would coffee in a retail shop here cost me 25 dirhams for mediocre coffee? I'm like, there has to be a solution somewhere. So came back and I told him about the trip and how, the Vietnamese coffee is, the export is like the second largest in the world. And I didn't know that after Brazil. And I started doing some research. And then we started bouncing articles back and forth. I'm like, we're sitting down, like, do you want to open, like, shall we get into coffee?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but I don't know what we're going to do because there's so many coffee shops. I mean, you're just another Me Too. Aggregator, you're just another Me Too. And what can differentiate us in the country over here? So I remember this is an Asian concept. We did not create this, but what we did is we brought it in. We adapted the blends. We did a lot of research on the particular taste of the region. Why do people prefer this coffee than that? And one thing we realized is people mask their coffee with milk and sugar because the coffee tastes bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this some from your research? You got
research.
That? Yeah?
We've done research, and the people they're buying like the instant coffee from the usual suspects, and then we realized, I'm like, why don't we actually work on a blend or something that you would not require? So coffee taste is subjective. Everyone likes their own coffee in different ways. That's why we came up with 3 different blends. The bold is a full-bodied, chocolatey taste, nutty, and then the smooth is a little bit more of a little bit acidic with a fruity taste, and then the cardamom, obviously you have the really good cardamom taste. And what I did is, obviously, just a long story short, from that perspective, is that we started sourcing. What are we going to do? What's the go-to-market strategy over here? We had to find suppliers, we had to find co-packers, and we realized, we said we don't have to go into massive investment of going into a full-fledged brick and mortar facility. We would focus more on, let them do their job, but our focus here is the marketing and the new product development. So what I did my Specialty Coffee Association certification for me to know more about the coffee. And when I found out it's a science, this thing is, you overlook so many things because, any person just wakes up in the morning, pours the coffee, does it, and doesn't think too much of
many Nespressos as well, just because it's
because
easy.
People are lazy.
Yeah.
People are lazy, and we realize
and life is fast.
People want everything yesterday. I'm like, I think it's also the services that you have here is like everything's now. What I mean? Okay, fine. I mean, give us a couple of minutes. It's also a ritual. It's not that bad. But they don't realize the science that goes behind this. The water temperature, grind size, roast profile. These all affect the the taste of your coffee. So I figured out, how things are done, and then we started developing with our co-packer what needs to be done, and it took us around 6 to 9 months to develop all 3 blends because the packaging material is not in the market like this kind of the way it opens. The material used is top notch. So we launched that on our website, Amazon, Deliveroo, and stuff like that, and eventually we started expanding to beans and capsules as we went because of demand.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about how you went to a supplier, you went to this, you went to that. So for me, a lot of the tricky phases of the business is finding these little details, like who's the best supplier, how do you find people who do this well, did you test and fail, what are some of your steps that you took?
We went to look. So when you're getting into the business like this, you want to make sure that your suppliers are sound. They're not like someone who opened up yesterday and will close up in a week. So you want to go with really good suppliers that can guarantee supplies. It's not guaranteed in a way that it's an agricultural crop. So it depends on the weather, but guarantee at least the good quality, and at least you can buy your raw material in advance, at a certain quantity and a certain price point. We did so much. I mean, the from a raw material, we looked at multiple suppliers. We ended up going with the one that fits our profile the best.
Sorry to interrupt, did you search globally, or is this something that
globally?
Here?
We did not go to the farmers. I mean, we didn't have the capability to. It was COVID.
That's true.
It's not
Everything's
like
online.
So it was months of back and forth negotiations, samples. I still have samples, sitting in my house today. My wife's gonna kill me. She's like, all I find is coffee.
Just use them.
It's like roast them, do something. They're all over the place. So you have to talk, negotiate, because what you want to do is trying to get a good price point so you can offer a good price point. And
you're as well new in the market, right?
So you're and you want to compete.
People,
You want to compete, and you're new. And obviously, the amount of stock that you'll be buying as a first comer is not like someone who's an established coffee house. But for example, the wrapper on the sachet itself is microns. And you're talking about 70 micron layers
Really?
Yeah, to keep the shelf life, the coffee good for the next
fresh.
2 years. Yeah, and we pump in nitrogen to make sure it stays fresh, so there's no oxidation and stuff like that. So months and months, I can go on for days and just telling you about every single detail that we had to get to, from the packaging material, everything we did here. If you look at every single detail on the packing here. Is done by us. We, obviously we had a designer, but every idea was put in by us, and we wanted to make it dual language. So if we expand in the GCC, it's adoptable and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, this is something that you have to do as an entrepreneur. You cannot depend on X, Y, Z to go do the work for you. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to know your business. If you don't know your business from bottom to top and top to bottom, you'll miss out on what's going on. These small details that might bypass you.
Yeah, so it looks like it's a completely new industry for you, and that's something I ask a lot of my friends and speakers. Like, if it's a completely new industry, like it's coffee, you did your certificate, but there's so much to learn about it. It's not like you've been in the field for so long, and etc. So. A lot of the research is done by yourself, right?
Sure.
So it's something that you've been doing. Your cousin as well, correct me if I'm wrong, is not also in the industry. So have you had any kind of help or consultancy or a kind of an external hand that taught you these things or helped you?
Look, I mean, most of the stories you hear that startups, I did everything myself. And like, no, guys, it's practically impossible.
Let's break the myth.
Yeah. No, you can't sit and claim glory on on things that other people helped you on. Also, I would say yes, we got help from suppliers who knew, like, for example, the packaging, they knew better. I don't know what 70 microns was on this, and the guy explained it. It's literally hairline, layers of 70. You know what I mean? So he explained it to us, and he showed us the machine that runs, that produces maybe, I don't know what, in a minute can go to around 1 ton of material in 1 minute. It's massive. So we went in, and it's an eye opener for us. And so we learned from there. We went to our co-packers. We did our profiling together. We learned from them also. But the good thing is I at least knew basic plus to push back on things that we don't want. I didn't go in ignorant. I knew I went in, exactly what we wanted and how to develop it, with the help of our, our suppliers and, agencies and stuff like that.
That's a very good point, because a lot of people go into these industries and they don't know a lot, and the learning curve is quite big, and they lose a lot of time, they lose a lot of money. So from your end, so I wanted to know in the beginning, so was this self-financed? Is it bootstrapped? Is it something that you needed help with? And you talked about leaving your job, and finances are the number one thing that people talk about. I can have a million ideas, right? So if
a million and one.
So how did you manage to work yourself around that, like for years?
Look, I mean. I took a leap, and it's not only about how much money you have in the bank and how you're going to spend it. It's like, what are you going to do with that money? Is it just going to sit in the bank and do nothing? What's it going to do? So for us, Joe and I would, for me, Joe, I mean, I wouldn't have done it without him, and vice versa. For us, we're an amazing team at work, super amazing synergy together. So I told him, like, listen, I don't have anything now, okay, but I have whatever I have now to put in. He said the same thing. He's like, he's doing his freelancing now, but at the same time, I'm like, look, I'm in the country. I'm here. I can be full on operating everything that needs to be done. Joe's based in Lebanon for now, but he pops in every few months. It's difficult when you are bootstrapped, but at the same time, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
You're not spending other people's money. You're spending your money, and you're counting pennies. You're
thinking of every dime.
In a non-selfish way, but in a way because it matters. Yeah. Every penny you put here or save here, you can put here. And we prioritize everything. Joe and I had multiple conversations. I think I talked to Joe more than I talked to my mother and my wife. And they're both like, why aren't you calling? I'm like, listen, I have a call with Joe now. And I talked to him like non-stop.
Of course, yeah.
So the thing is, we think quite smart on the way we want to swim. We can open up. I told him at some point, I'm like, listen, I would love to have my own roastery and packaging. I'm like, yeah, but what is the utilization of a roastery? It will never be at 100% capacity, no matter what you do, no matter how much you put into it. It'll never be that. But he's like, let's focus on the product, more on the manufacturing. Obviously, we have standard operating procedures with quality control, which we don't.
You can't mess with that.
We don't mess with that, no at all. But let's focus on the product. Let's focus on the people with the story. Why are we here? Why are we releasing this product? So it's managing your finances in a smart way. And the fact is that we've outsourced our operations. We don't have salaries to pay. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have
Not
overhead.
much of a responsibility falls on you. In quotation marks.
Yeah. I mean, it's because then we will be able to focus more on the marketing and the product development as you go. So outsource what you can. You don't have to depend on anyone's visa, insurance, compensation, ticket back home, and obviously the monthly salary. But you get the same service. If it doesn't work, you can find someone else as a service provider.
True.
You know, so start small, start lean, and then grow. What people tend to get, they get the $1 million funding. They spend $500,000 on building the best office. I'm like, okay, you can work from home.
Yeah.
And you don't need a $500,000 office, makeover for you to run your business. Focus on things that will bring back money. You know, your marketing, advertising, product, development and stuff like that.
You know, it's quite difficult to do to create a business that's consumer faced and it depends on your consumers because, in my opinion, it takes a lot to bring in your first customers, the retention, so I want to know a bit more about your first few years or months. Like, has it been difficult or did you directly get interest? How did you go about that, like your go-to market strategy?
Good question. Look, it's in any business.
I'm going to sip on my coffee as well.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to hear some sipping throughout.
So in any business, whether it's service or product or consumer product sales, you need someone to buy your product or service in order to get your profit margin and bring in the revenue, and then you do the calculations. But sales and bringing in customers should be and is key to every business. And I think in the beginning we struggled to get things going because we are a new company. Who the hell's Koonoo?
Yeah.
What are these drip bags? Why are they in my country? Why am I buying this now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then, let me buy this again. So this is how it happens. So that's why, we realized we depended on friends and family to promote, just to promote.
Yeah.
You can have so much friends and family to make your business successful. Trust me. And basically, we realized that once they tried, for example, with the variety pack, and then it just, it was a domino effect and people started buying. And then we were closer to our customers. So we constantly listen to feedback. Any feedback that, guys, maybe, for example, the blend is a bit too strong. Can you come up with another blend or something lighter? And we try to adapt as much as we can. The customer acquisition is quite difficult because we try to do it online and we try to do it from a B2B level. For example, I approach offices, hotels, which I think this would work amazing in a hotel.
Definitely.
We're talking
in boutique hotels as well. Like
boutique hotels, you don't need a machine. You have small space. All you need is kettle already exists. So you just need that. So I think this is one of our biggest challenges, is to constantly drive in customers, not only for the revenue, for the community. It's like, being part of us, and we get closer to them.
Of course. I think that once they taste, it's one of the things that are, I think, around the brand is the community you're trying to build. And also like how fun it is. It's something that's coffee in the region has been there for years. Like everyone is very proud of their Arabic coffee, their Turkish coffee, etc. And this is something that you're bringing into the world here that's quite different. And I would love to know like a bit of the reactions of people. Like, have they been, like enjoying this? Do they like the fact that it's kind of a fun drip coffee?
I'll tell you a few stories. It was hilarious when we first started. Actually, before we actually launched, so what we did is we did a pre-launch, soft launch to test on the blends. And there was this one guy that sent me a picture of him dunking it like a tea bag.
I got that too.
So I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I told him, I'm like, this is how you. So it was relatively new, but it's also new is good. I mean, it's something new. I mean, you're not supposed to know everything. It's like, but obviously the instructions are there, but they weren't there. We didn't launch officially, but I'm saying, it's fun to see how people perceive what you give them, and I give you this, what are you going to do with it? They don't really, like, some of them got it, some of them put it without opening the top, and they start pouring it and starts flowing outside the filter. So we got some feedback, some people saying it was a little bit flimsy, but they didn't put it on the cup properly. And then we talked to them, guys, this is how it's done. And then we did a how-to video, and then promoting it more like that. And some people are saying, listen, I just switched from instant coffee to this for life.
The taste is completely different. Yeah.
And what's it going to take you? A couple of minutes. Yeah. At least you get a good cup of coffee in the morning, or even in the afternoon. But I'm saying, spare the couple of minutes, man. It's worth the time. And people are, like I said, people are just lazy. They just want to pour something in and just stir. Look, if you want to take it into a graph, the more convenient the coffee prep is, the less it's going to taste, the less better it's going to taste. That's
everything in life. I think. That's
so the more inconvenient, the better it's going to taste, because you can go into the V60, the Chemex, and stuff like that. We're in the middle. Yeah. You're gonna just
we merged
it. We're like, if you look at it, it's just right in the middle. It's not so much as an inconvenience. Relax. For me, I think it's super versatile. You can just, this is yours. You can put it in your bag.
It's a cultural thing. Like, coffee is like everyone meets over coffee, and it's just something that's a part of our day to day. And everyone drinks coffee every day, so might as well enjoy it and have a good quality. Less of the acidic part of the coffee. But I wanted to ask you, actually, we missed this. What's Koonoo? Like, what is the name? And where did it come from?
So it was us just trying to brainstorm on names. We had like Karawati, and then I don't know what, and then I'm like, went into this loophole, this, what do you call it, rabbit hole of names, and the pronunciation and stuff like that. And then my sister came up with that. Like, I think she said Koonoo. It sounds cool. Yeah, it sounds cool. And then we started, everyone, like, you hear everyone, and we want to call Koonoo. We're just trying to see how it resonates. I'm like, any language, any person in any language can pronounce it.
Yeah.
And some people say Koonoo. I'm like, guys, come on, no, it's Koonoo.
Ooh.
And just double O. Yeah. And basically, it's in Arabic, it's like to be. It's quite abstract. We didn't think too much about it, but it looks cool, because if you look at the O's, it's like the drip coffee being filled up. So we're like, we can work with that.
Yeah.
So we stuck to Koonoo, and
I love the little details. It's really like self-made.
We look into every single detail. I mean, it was, I had a marketing and advertising background, so it was me a little bit with my OCD on getting things aligned. Joe, obviously, with his focus in FMCG or consulting from a price point, go to market strategy. His insights were amazing on this. He's like, guys, this is what we need to do because it's required, or this is the price point we need to hit, because so we reverse engineer everything. It's not like I wake up, I'm gonna launch this product. Okay, I'm gonna price it at 50 dirhams, for example. No, what we do is, okay, we're looking to launch this product. Go to the customer. What is the customer willing to pay? How would he foresee, or how will he utilize this? When will he utilize it? What is the amount of sachets, for example, the person would need in one box? We put 7, so 1 for every day of the week. So we reverse engineer it so we can come up with a good price point and a product that the customer would like. In other words, not the other way around. And then maybe it works. So we do a lot of research, and we do a lot of data analysis on what the price points are, what they're willing to pay for it, what's the competitor doing, how can we get a better quality product with a better pricing.
So it's a mix of everything. You obviously cannot price it as well at a loss, so it's something that you need to consider.
Yeah. You do your margins. I mean, every company, every industry has their margins, which you have to have a healthy profit. At the end of the day, you're running a business, not a charity. But you need to consider. We always consider how much is it going to impact from a price point? How much is it going to impact the customer?
Yeah.
Is he going to buy it once? He or she buy it once and then say, "Khalas, it's too expensive for me," or is it something like, what? This is affordable. This is accessible. I can buy this and I can consume it on a daily basis. So this is what we were looking for.
To talk about why we talk about profit. So a lot of the businesses today focus a lot on making enough money in a very quick amount of time. So we're going to talk finances,
sure.
Whatever you can say. But I would love to know how long it took you, since you bootstrapped, I think, this, to, let's say, make some profit. Are you comfortable today with the amount of salary that you have? Are you happy with what, where Koonoo is?
I can't get into the financial details per se, but what I can say is that we are growing at a triple-digit growth when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
Do we only look at profit at the end of the day? No. Do we look at revenue? Yes, because you have to account for your other. But what we really look for is really bringing out a really good product to the people.
Yeah.
We've been in the industry for 5 years. Knock on wood, we haven't heard any major flaws in our product, which we're very happy. I don't think people. I mean, look, if you're here to make a quick buck, you can just go rob a bank. It's like people think they're gonna wake up one morning and you're gonna have $1 million bucks hitting your bank. It doesn't work this way.
Yeah.
You have to account for the ups and downs of all the industries. Especially this is in agriculture. It's very competitive. So you're trying to create your own niche here and trying to create your own unique selling proposition, or in the industry, and what differentiates you. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. We've been bootstrapped for 5 years for multiple reasons, and it's one is that Joe and I decided in the beginning, I'm like, listen, let's prove our concept first. Let's not sell ourselves cheap, because when you first start, people they'll eat a big chunk out of you. You have no negotiation power when you have just started. VCs and investors will come and eat you alive, and I told him, like, okay, can we keep on sustaining the way we are for the next? He's like, yes, and it reaches a point where Joe and I work so well together that we kind of looked at each other and said, we don't want people breathing down our necks right now. We really want to bring out the brand to the point where we see, everyone has good inputs and opinions on it, but we're working in such good synergy that we agreed, let's focus on the brand and the product that we want to get out. More than just going and grabbing investors. To
get to a point where you're actually more comfortable grabbing the right investor, and not for them to take...
Strategic investor. This is the key word. Finding a strategic investor is of utmost importance. And you can get an investor that can turn out... It's like marriage. Your husband or wife could be the best thing, that to
bring out the best in you,
or your absolute misery.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing when it comes to investors. The investor might be nice for the first year, then start getting greedy, profits, dividends. I'm like, okay, you're taking a risk also. As an investor or a VC, you're investing in a startup for whatever reason, and most of the reasons for them to make profit. But at the same time, you can't say, I want to. They start pushing you. Like, guys, things take time. They have to progress because the foundations have to be solid.
So who's your ideal investor today that you would like to, let's say, reach out or partner with?
Going back to strategic investor, we would like investors in the space that we're in, FMCG, that can open up doors for us. We have the capability. I mean, I'm not telling them to get me deals, but I'm telling them we're very much capable, Joe and I, to negotiate and sit and have talks. We've done this multiple times. But strategic investor, I mean, it's not a money ticket. It's also, okay, Nassib, Joe, there's someone you can talk to over there that can open up a retail space for you, or open up a sales channel for you, or go talk to them. Just go talk. We've done that multiple times. But you want a strategic investor that understands the brand, understands the industry, and understands your vision.
Yeah.
And if I want a money ticket, I'll go to the bank, take some interest, and I won't let go of any equity.
So it's more of a partner that can grow your business rather than
together. When we look for partnerships, we look. People look for. When they look for investors, they just see a money, like a dollar sign.
That's my question. Like, is it more of the money today, or is it more like the growth?
We look for us to grow the way that we vision. Yes, now we're reaching a point where we do need that partnership. Obviously, from a financial point of view, and from a strategic partnership, from the capability, for us to grow to the vision that we foresee.
Yeah.
But for whoever was looking for investors and stuff like that, like, guys, don't sell yourself cheap. At the end of the day, everyone's going to do what's good for them.
Yeah. So you have a story about.
We have a story. It's a nice story, actually. I talk very positively about it.
Let's do it.
So we were part of Shark Tank in October 23.
Cool.
And we got approached by the production company summer 23, and I actually got approached by 3 different people from the same company because
So they approached you, so you didn't apply for it.
It was the
nice.
first season on Dubai TV.
Yeah.
And within a span, I think, of a week, I got a call from 3 different people of the same production company.
Really?
Hi, Nassib, I'm kaza, whatever. I'm like, guys, I'm already in talks with, don't worry. Thank you for, I'm like, and they were super excited. We're like, we love your product. And so I'm like, yeah, fantastic. So we're like, yeah, sure. I mean, we'd love to be on. Exciting. First season,
Of course.
And, but we have work to do. No, we've never been on Shark Tank. And Joe and I...
You have to be ready for every single question.
Yeah, and the thing is, so we started watching perhaps every single show that was on Shark Tank America on repeat just to see what are they asking? What are we going to answer? So what you need to do, so what was required from us is actually you have to go back and do your due diligence on your finance. They would do their due diligence on your finances, so your P&L and stuff like that. So we went back to our accounting team, guys. We need our numbers the next month and a half.
Yeah.
To send across to the production team because they had a business analyst that makes sure that everything is sound. In the meantime, I was unanimously elected to be the face of the company. Like, oh man.
By your partner and yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like he voted twice on my behalf. Also, he's like, yeah, where are you going?
Yeah.
So the thing is, they wanted a video of me, promoting it and speaking in Arabic. My Arabic is fine, but when you're talking business Arabic, it becomes a little bit difficult to kind of promote it in an Arabic.
في ChatGPT Arabic?
ما كان في. It was not that great back then. It was just still like very rudimental.
Glitchy.
Yeah, it was still glitchy. So I'll probably be sending a bag of potatoes instead of coffee, بالغلط يعني. But it's fine. So I ended up, making my sister take videos of me cracking up. What the hell did I say? What is this? I look stupid. No, I look good. And fine. We get to Shark Tank. And obviously, I promote Koonoo, and we get funding by one of the sharks. Shook hands, all good, and I was a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't say I was 100%
convinced.
Yeah. I had
Why?
Because I think so basically what they do is they ask you. What is your ask? Like, how much money are you looking for? And what is the equity that you want to give away?
Yeah.
So we were looking for 600,000, I think, for 10%. So we were valued at 6 million dirhams. And we ended up closing the deal at 15%. I had a gut feeling saying, maybe not the right partner, but listen, you don't take that many risks in your life.
Yeah.
Nothing's signed on paper now. You can figure out as you go, which happened. So I think the shoot was October 10, 2023, and then we started doing due diligence with the Shark Tank's business analyst team and stuff like that. Performance very professional. We had a very good conversation back and forth. They understood us. Your objective is not to give up too much, and their objective is to take as much as they can.
For sure.
So
there's a negotiation going on.
Yeah, negotiation. And then, the terms and conditions were not, we started realizing the terms and conditions were like, this is going to bite us somewhere in the future.
Is it because of the where you are today, or is it kind of in general, like maybe in the future it could be something more beneficial?
So basically what they ask you is they say, okay, so we need a 3-year revenue look ahead for you. What are you expecting? We put a number, and they said, okay, if this number is not achieved, there's what's called a clawback mechanism. So they can actually take back more of the company. So they go from 15%, they can take up to 100% if you don't achieve it. This is try highballing, but that's the relatively what the meaning or the terminology means. And then what? Joe and I decided, like, listen, we're going to shoot 4 or 5 questions and see if they can help on any of these points, which is critically what we need. Door opening, maybe more marketing backing, and several ones without the details. They came back with a week later saying, no, we can't do any of these. Not one.
So it's more like a financial backing.
Yeah.
And you do the rest.
It was a money ticket for us. It would have been a money ticket for us, a trophy for them.
Yeah.
which is fine. Everyone needs to
Of
do
course,
their own,
yeah.
whatever's good for them. But at the same time, they couldn't answer those questions. Like, we cannot fulfill those demands. We shook hands, super respectful. To this day, I will never say anything bad, because honestly, they dealt with it in a very professional manner. Even
Yeah.
our point of contact, very professional. He sent the email, actually called me, Nassib,
That's lovely.
we just sent emails. Like, yes, I got it. Thank you very much. And then, we went on our business. And I was telling Joe, listen, I felt bad on maybe just, there was an opportunity, but I felt good. And we found out maybe the opportunity was not for us down the road. I would have felt worse if we actually signed, started the business, and then
Change
found
your
out.
mind.
So, Joe's always, when it comes to these things, he's optimistic. He's like, man, it's fine. We're good the way we are. That was a Shark Tank experience.
Do you regret it? Saying no? No.
No,
I'm
no,
happy to. Yeah.
no. Look, when it comes to these kind of decisions, you need to know when to say no and when to say yes, because it really come back and bite you. So it's like, no is no, and there's no looking back. We talked about Shark Tank because people asked me how was Shark Tank, but between Joe and I, that's
It's
water.
done.
That's done. Water under the bridge. Not because we didn't like the show, but I'm talking about when I say not about Shark Tank, but we don't want to sit and dwell on something that could have been, we don't know, could have been good, could have been bad. But at then and there, you need to know when to put your foot down, say yes or no.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you're working with your cousin.
Yeah.
So his family.
His family.
It's very tricky, I think, to work with friends, family, anyone that you know.
Sure.
So tell me a bit about your dynamics. Like, is this something that you feel works very well? Do you feel like something's off? Have you ever fought? How is it going?
Look, Joe and I mean, Joe's my favorite cousin. I mean, there's a 3 month.
This is live.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll say it. So if you go to the family, it's Joe, then me, and then the rest of the cousins. And Joe and I are the closest because we're 3 months apart. Look, we're both well traveled. I would comfortably
You have the
say
same values, probably.
same values, and he's my cousin. And the thing is, I say this very, very, publicly. Without Joe, this would have been impossible because. First of all, the synergy that we have together, the utmost respect, other than the family part, is the fact is that he's a seasoned consultant that works with multi-billion-dollar FMCG companies.
Yeah.
It's
You complement each other, basically.
yeah. So, look, whether you work with friends, family, or coworkers in general, there will always be small things that you would not like or you don't appreciate and stuff like that. But this is business. This is life in general. The good thing with Joe and I is that we have two different perspectives on things. He has an engineering background, super meticulous about every comma, and this is what we need.
Yeah.
From my end, it's more about the general management of things, the business development, the people skills. I'm more on the ground, product development, the marketing, basically running the whole show from an operational level. And what we realized is that there's a lot of back and forth on certain things, but at the end of the day, we do what's best for the customer and the company. Like, guys, okay, fine, we're not agreeing on this, but this is what needs to be done because the customer requires this, or we need to do a campaign on this. So there's a lot of understanding, even though we have different perspectives. And Joe tends to be very understanding, and vice versa. His opinion means a lot, and I'm sure mine does too. And people say, yeah, how are you? Even on the Shark Tank, they ask me, what you're working with, the family, and they ask me, I'm like, so far it's working fine. It's like, don't. If you have family problems, I don't right now. It's like, خليك انت your family. But we do great together. Like I said, we talk on a daily basis. We're always bouncing ideas. He has a certain, how do you say, an eye for details that I probably don't see as much as he does, and vice versa. So I think we're doing great.
Amazing.
If you can actually bring him on the show and ask him himself.
I should next time. I hear the other side of the story.
Yeah. So it's good. It's
amazing.
Good. Very good.
I want to know a bit about your mindset. So, being an employee, being in the corporate world, advertising, etc., like changing your mindset or your industry from advertising to oil and gas, it's still in the corporate world. It's still kind of a salary that comes in by the end of the month. People bringing in work, you don't have to do much of that unless you are bringing the work. But what are some of the things that you feel are the strengths that you gathered from, let's say, 9 to 5? or things that you needed to change to adapt to this kind of lifestyle. Like it's also a bit lonely to be in an industry and in a business where you only work with your cousin, let's say, where you don't have a space to go and talk to people. A lot of people around me say it's a kind of it changes your lifestyle, it changes your mood. So I want to know a bit about how you work mentally on changing from corporate to entrepreneur.
My corporate office here had 3,000 people at one time.
Oh, yeah, that's a big change for you.
Yeah, I mean, you went from this to it's like becomes me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
You know? What I learned is from a corporate industry is more of the processes that you need to put in place. My background, was logistics, supply chain, so getting things done. And the fact is that there's an objective. Like for us, we used to work on massive multi-billion-dollar projects. So if you miss a day or two, you're back charged X amount of money, which is hefty. And meeting milestones and timelines and getting things done at a certain time is of utmost importance. So I learned that when a job needs to get done, it needs to get done because there's also someone breathing down your neck. There's someone breathing down his neck. So it's a chain of command that never ends, And it just gets louder as it gets to work. Yeah, by the time it gets to you, it gets really loud.
Yeah, there's the chaos.
There's chaos, and I don't like working in chaos. I'm pretty organized when it comes to these things. So I've learned that one, obviously not only from my last job, from in general in my working career, is that it's all people management. How you talk to people, how you deal with them, how you create relationships, how can you figure out if that person is good or will be able to help you or is honest at least, But then you go down to working by yourself. And the guy on the bridge in Europe that's playing the piano, the drum, the cymbals, the harmonica, the guitar, and the flute, and at the same time using this, that's what you end up doing.
Yeah.
So you're juggling every single ball that's coming your way and diverting it into directions which need to make sense at the same time. So your mindset is that you're bringing in so much information. How do you decipher what's a priority, what needs to be done? For example, like when we first started, you have to open the company, you have to sign agreements, you have to do this.
And all new. Like everything is
nothing,
new.
everything from scratch. The only thing that helped us is Joe and I's hard work. Yeah. I mean, we had input from left, right, and center. We took in what makes sense. We dumped whatever doesn't make, not dump it. We said, thank you for the things that didn't make sense. There's a lot of things that, you're responsible for, and your success is what your output of work is. And what have you done? If you sit at home, do nothing, you'll get nothing in life.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you're grinding every day, I mean, let me tell you, to be honest, you hear a lot of these stories where, startup founders, they don't sleep for 72 hours. They've eaten a can of tuna in a week. Guys, listen, this is this is a lot of Instagram fluff that you hear just for like motivation. But in reality, once you've set up a good business, and I'm sitting with you here now, do I look like my business is going to fall apart? No, it's because we've set it up to the point where it's actually running like a well-oiled machine, or like what they say, a Swiss clock. So once you've done that, that you've set up something good where hence the outsourcing part. So I don't need to be on my laptop on a daily basis. What I need to do is work more on development, product development, campaigns, customer service and stuff like that, which I enjoy. I love talking to our customers. You end up doing a lot of things by your own, but it's also at your own pace. So it's not like someone breathing, you willingly want to do it. When you have someone breathing down your neck and because this guy said so, and then you have to sit in.
And sometimes it's just some things that are not useful for the business. Like if you're working from a 9 to 5, you need to fill the gaps sometimes. And it's around managing this person, managing lost times, managing a few things that don't make sense. So on your own, it feels like you focus on what needs to be done, work smart,
work efficiently.
Yeah.
People say, I work from 9 to 9 and I, it was a long day. I'm like, Tablik, honestly, let's have an honest heart to
conversation.
In those 12 hours, your 9 to 9 that you claimed, that what was intensive, real, genuine output of work that you produced? If anyone tells you more than 2-3 hours, that's BS. Then there's so much distractions in the corporate world. your usual
100%.
conversation,
Yeah.
your phone calls, your rubbish email that you have to reply back to, behind your boss breathing down, the lunch, the go down.
And some people like to look busy. So a lot of
People
people
love to look busy.
Yeah, so
They love to look busy.
it's another mindset. It's another mentality. It's honestly, there's a lot of, I think, mental work that you need to do as a business owner, because I have I left my job. I had a lot of time on my hands, and you have this kind of guilt that lures around you. Like, you have to be doing something. You have to be suffering. And I'm like, I'm not suffering.
The funny thing is, every person I talk to that's in a very well-paid, positioned corporate job hates it.
Yeah, most of them do.
I'm like, man, everyone I talk to is like banana faces. I'm like, guys, you're getting paid very well. Yeah, but I hate the culture. He's like, Niyelak Nassib, for you're so lucky that you have your own time. I'm like, yes, I am.
There are two sides. Like, the grass is always greener, as they say, and it's not.
It's not.
There are so many problems with being on your own. There are so many problems.
Even more problems when you're working for it. You need to understand, when, like, this is just small advice for everyone that wants to get into their own business. It's lonely to the point where it's like, in the beginning it wasn't lonely because there was a lot to do. I was constantly busy, and I was really busy. I'm not saying that I was busy. I was really, really busy in getting things done. But it's lonely from a perspective, and don't expect much help from people. Even the closest people that you thought would be the most trustworthy friends. I would say family. I would say friends, acquaintances, friends and friends. Yeah. It's all talk. So that's why I say never depend on family and friends to make your business succeed. Go back to the real customers who are the real buyers. And then you realize that, there's a lot of stuff that, you get your hands, you get busy doing. And then once you set up a good strategy and stuff like that, you can start, it's easy going. I do intensive 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 of really intensive work during the day. Then it's more on the stuff that I like, cupping new blends, looking into more ideas, talking to our suppliers, our new product development line, these kind of things. But all in all, work needs to be done, but you can just kind of make it, work for you.
You're a new dad.
I am.
I'm going to say new. How does this affect your business? Like, obviously in the beginning, you were single, you had a girlfriend that became your wife, and now a dad. So has your priorities sort of changed? Or so looking into the future now with who you are today, how are you going to manage your life? Do you need more income? Do you need to kind of push more on Koonoo?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a blessing. And she's 1 year and 7 months now, and a handful in a very, very nice, positive way. And super happy. I'm glad that I can work from home so I can experience her more. I think she's developed a lot faster than other kids her age, because I was. I'm not saying me, but
the presence of
someone in the house is good, and she sees, when she comes back from a walk, I'm there. Obviously, her mom comes in, she flies a lot, but when she comes here, she spends the whole time with her. But it's look, you have to be responsible. There's a responsibility factor behind it, where, okay, fine, you have a little human that needs to eat, sleep, and and then she's starting nursery in September, so that's going to be another financial
milestone.
Milestone from a and then, like, shut your eyes, close your eyes. A year later, she's going into school.
100%.
So obviously, there's a financial, as a responsible father, husband, you always think, how are you going to make sure that your finances are correct or are intact. So for me, Koonoo will always be there as long as we can sustain it financially, and hopefully, come in, with new investors and stuff like that. And for me, I've also, I've consulted on a few F&B,
nice.
products, and I've been approached several times. So it's fine for me. I'm doing well. People ask me, do you want to get back to corporate? I'm like, if it's, maybe yes, because I have that responsibility now.
Yeah.
But I also want to make sure Koonoo is safe and sound.
Yeah.
Not something that I'm going to lose focus on and it's just going to fizzle out. But yeah, maybe just for that responsibility and the loneliness, we don't have a team of 100 people that can give you 100 different ideas on a daily basis. It's just you doing all the work yourself. So I would like to go back into corporate from that perspective, not being lonely, working for something big.
Yeah. And look, there's one thing that is kind of a big stigma in the region or in the world as well. It's like let's say, stay-at-home dad. So you have this role that you've taken on, which is amazing. And I think a lot of responsibility falls on you. Your wife travels a lot, for the work that she's doing. Has this been kind of an issue for you mentally? Do people, talk to you about this being kind of, you're the man of the family, etc.? Like a lot of people talk about that manly role in the region. You never crossed your mind.
I couldn't care less what people think.
I love it.
I couldn't give a damn.
I love to talk
what are they
about
going
this?
to call me?
Yeah.
The equivalent of a housewife, a house husband. I'm
No,
working.
I
I'm
love to
working,
talk
but it
about
just
it.
tends to be from home. Everyone in
100%.
COVID. So everyone in COVID was
Yeah.
it's just I'm actually working.
Yeah.
But my office is,
At home. And you get to see your daughter. It's something
I'm
that you're so
super
blessed.
sensitive.
Yeah.
This nonsense talk, man.
Amazing. Nassib, we're almost out of time, but there's one thing I do on every episode, which is you see the deck of cards, you see them. You need to shuffle them a little bit to get like a random question. So this is from Esther Perel. She's a psychotherapist. I love her.
We're getting into psychotherapy now.
Yes. I love psychology. I didn't do enough of it today. So
Next time we'll have an episode.
We're going to have a second episode where we talk only about your mindset. But I would love to know what the question is.
Can I change the card if I don't like the question?
La.
La.
I'll decide.
A person who doesn't know they've impacted my life is.
حلوة.
Hey.
I mean, I'm right in front of you, but
As you can see, I'm not looking at you directly. I think my dad is my biggest impact, and he doesn't know it because I don't tell him much.
Yeah.
Although we're very close, but it's there.
Yeah.
But it's also that, this under the surface love for each other that is never actually, and that's why during COVID, I spent a lot of time with him. And if it wasn't for me being there, I think my parents during COVID would have went cuckoo, and they kept on saying, we're so happy that you're here.
Habibi.
So Dad, you're the biggest impact in my life. And I love you. I'm going to tear up.
I know. I love. See? Emotional. I love this.
That's going to be the hook of your...
Yes, I'm just going to put this 1 minute as a marketing stunt. I love this, Nassib. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time. Thank you,
Thank you. I love Koonoo. For guys, you have to taste this.
They will. I got samples for the guys. They can enjoy
the cardamom, mashallah يعني.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nela.
Thank you.
Now